Okay, so today's class will be more of reading errors and correcting them using the journal, right? But it's important that at least I do a small review of what we have discussed so far and the correction of errors, just for the benefit of those who might have forgotten a few things. So we indicated that in accounting, errors do okay or mistakes do okay. However, these mistakes should be non-fraudulent. Okay? They shouldn't be intentional. If they are intentional, they are, judged to be fraudulent, right? So you shouldn't make the mistake intentional. It should be an unintentional mistake. And unintentional mistakes are non-fraudulent. Okay, so we were able to determine that errors are mistakes or non-fraudulent mistakes that do happen in the course of recording of business transaction and preparation of accounts. We indicate two types of errors, two main types of errors. Who is going to tell me that? The two main types of errors. Yes, Portia.
There is errors that affect the agreement of the trial balance and errors that do not affect the agreement with the trial balance.
Okay, thank you very much. So two main types. One, the errors that do not affect the agreement of the trial balance. What it means is that when these errors occur, still the trial balance would agree, or the balances will be equal. Both the debit and credit will be equal. And I think we saw 7 examples of these types of errors, okay, which I think we would go through shortly. And then we saw that the other type is errors that affect the agreement of the trial balance. So those errors, they will cause the trial balance to disagree. So maybe you have a debit of 180,000, your credit will be 130,000, which means there's a difference. And I hinted you that anytime you have a difference in your trial balance, you introduce a suspense account to hold that difference. Okay, so we define the suspense account to be an account that holds a difference in the trial balance. Okay, great. Now, when we pick the errors that do not affect, we mentioned 7 of them. We had the error of omission, error of commission, original entry, compensation, duplication, complete reversal of entries, and finally, is it original entry or compensation? I want to believe I have covered all the 7. Or let me take it again. Omission, commission, principal, original entry, complete reversal of entries, compensation, and duplication. So we went through these 7. I want to believe my professors can briefly explain these errors. Okay. Then we went through, if for some reason you have forgotten one of them, please, I beg you, this is the time that you get the opportunity for us to go over before we start solving the question. Because when you are solving the questions, it will be very prudent that you know the type of error you are correcting. Okay, so for the purposes of, let me write them. So we spoke of omission, spoke of commission, spoke of principal, we spoke of original and complete reversal of entries, then duplication, compensation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these were the errors that do not affect the agreement of the trial balance. Please, is there one of them that you want me to go over or something? If yes, let me know so that we deal with it. Okay. Then we went to the errors that affect. For that one, I think I was able to mention a single entry. We mentioned the casting errors, where we determined that it could be an overcast or it could be an undercast. Okay. Then we also saw some nature of errors like omission or omitting. Let me use omitting an account balance from the trial balance. That's when you were preparing your trial balance. You didn't post a particular account balance. Okay. You didn't put it in your trial balance. And you know definitely that is going to make your trial balance disagree. Right? And then we saw posting to the wrong side of an account. So you were supposed to post to the credit side, but you posted it to the debit side. That's posting to the wrong side of an account. And we saw this to be more prevalent when you are posting from the day books to the ledgers, right? I think 2, 3, 4. Yeah, these were errors that we looked at under the errors that affect the agreement of the travelers. Please, any question? Okay, so I have questions. Somebody give a thumbs down. Okay, so Josephine, let's hear your question. Then I'll go to Austin.
Please, can you go over the casting?
Okay, the casting errors. Okay, let me hear from Austin then. Austin, what's your issue?
So, my question is about the suspense account, and it's about the written class test we did. And there was a question like, after all the errors have been discovered and everything, the suspense account balance should be, and then I chose 0, but I got it wrong. So I don't understand.
Oh, okay. Well, I should have asked you if you preferred we went through the questions, but unfortunately, I didn't get to ask you that. But I think I would find time so that we solve the question, right? If that is okay, but I want to remember that question so that I can deal with your problem. Let me see. Okay, so are these the only 2 issues I have to deal with? If there are more, I beg you, ask. Okay, so the casting errors. We said casting simply means you are totaling figures, or you are adding values, subtract, like you are adding to cast. Cast means add, right? So we are saying that when you are adding figures, there's the potential or the possibility that you may overcast or undercast it. Overcast means you added it in excess. Okay. So for example, you are adding 1,000, let's say 1,000 to 2,000, which we all know should be 3,000. And then you ended up writing 3,500. This is an overcast. Okay, you have overstated the figure. Now, the reverse is undercast, where Instead of 3,000, you indicated or you wrote 2,500. So you have reduced the value. So we are saying that in accounting, because we balance off accounts and post to wherever, there's a possibility that when you are summing the figures, you may overcast or undercast. So if it happens, what do you do? Okay. So the first clue I gave was that you need to know what has been cast wrongly. And please be careful. Don't ever go and use the past tense overcasted or undercasted. Never. Okay. Past tense for overcast is overcast. Undercast is undercast. So don't be tempted to say overcasted. Okay. So the first thing that I hinted you was that you should be able to tell what has been cast wrongly. Okay, or what has been overstated or understated. Is it sales? Is it purchases? Is it retaining was? Is it discount allowed? Okay, is it the debit side of an account? Is it the credit side of an account? You need to know what has been cast wrongly. So if you're able to tell what has been cast wrongly, then you ask yourself, this particular item that has been cast wrongly, what balance does it have? So if it is sales, then you ask, sales has what balance? And we all know sales has a credit balance, right? So you need to determine the balance on what has been cast wrongly. If you're able to know the balance, then we are saying that if the particular item has a debit balance and it is overcast or it was overcast, right? Then to correct it, you would have to credit that particular item. If it has a credit balance and it has been overcast, to correct it, you debit. Okay, so I'm repeating the processes you have to go through. First of all, what has been cast wrongly? Okay, is it sales? Is it purchases? Is it returning work? When you determine the item, then you now ask yourself, what balance does this item have? What normal balance does it have? So if it is cash, cash has a debit balance. If it's a building balance or a rent balance, you should know the balance on that item. If it is debit, right? The item has a debit balance and it has been overcast. Then if you are correcting it, what do you do? Credit. So it's like in correcting overcast errors, you go the opposite of the balance on the item. But if it is undercast, then if the item has a debit balance, to correct it, you debit. And if it has a credit balance, to correct it, you credit. So for the undercast, the entry you have to pass to correct it is always equal to the balance on the item. Okay. So Prof. Josephine, that is to the casting errors. So let me give an example. If you see, for example, sales account has been overcast by $100. So let's go through the analysis. What has been overcast? Sales. What balance does sales have? Sales has a credit balance. So if it has been overcast and I want to correct it, so the thing has a credit balance, right? And it has been overcast. So if I want to correct it, what do I have to do? I'll debit it. If I go and credit sales, I'll also be increasing the figure because the credit side has already been overstated. So if you want to correct it, you debit. So for the overcast, you go the opposite way, but for the undercast, you go the same way as the balance on the item. Prof. Josephine, I hope I've been able to provide some guidance.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Please, any other question? Any other question? Okay, if there are no questions, I think we can begin correcting the errors I have on my screen here, right? Actually, I'm checking on the question you asked. The one error. So the question was, the suspense account balance should be 0 after all trial balance errors are found. After all trial balance errors are found. And you chose what? True. Austin, right? You chose true and you were marked wrong.
Yes.
Well, there's a difference between finding the error and correcting the error. The suspense account balance will go to 0 only when you have corrected all the errors, not when you have found them. If you so you see, true or false can be very tricky sometimes. If you find the errors, it doesn't make the suspense account 0. It's when you now continue to correct, right? So there's a difference between finding the error and correcting the error. So that was the drift today. So I hope you're okay.
Yes.
Okay, but that is interesting. In fact, if I check the analysis, I'll be able to tell which questions you had. Most of the students had wrong. And I think I tipped this one for one of those questions. Anyways, let's move on. Okay, some people were late, so I'm sure the attendance I posted earlier did not capture them, but I'll repost them, so don't worry. Your parents will not adjust. Okay, so let's read error number 1. Who is reading error number 1 for me? So when we read the error, we'll try to know the type of error it is. Okay, at least. So who is reading error number 1? Austin, on the background of your true or false confusion, read the first one for us.
1. A cash sale of Ghana 500 cedis was not recorded at all in the books.
Okay, thank you. But the way you read the figure, Ghana cedi 500 likes. So a cash sale of 500 Ghana cedi was not recorded at all in the books. Please, what type of error is this? This one, each and every one of us should know. What type of error? I'm not calling Austin. I'm not calling Portia. I'm not calling Josephine. So it's between Bridget, Emmanuel, Rashid, and Zoe. Rashid, I don't know if you are around when we're discussing and if you have watched the video. Oh, I need Portia's network. Okay. So between Emmanuel, Kujo, Bridget, Rashid, Zoe, what type of error is this? You can put it in the chats if your microphone is not. Prof. Zoe, can you help us here? Okay, Emmanuel's hand is. But let me start from Zoe and then maybe I'll come to you. Okay, since Emmanuel is ready. Emmanuel, what type of error is it?
Say please, error of omission.
Error of omission. That is very true. Very, very true. Thank you very much. So I hinted the last time that for you to know the error of omission, always watch out for this phrase. Was not recorded at all in the books, or was not recorded in the books. In the books, very important. Okay, or was overlooked. So how do we correct this error? It's very simple, right? Because they did not record it, we have to record it. So the question now is, what do we have to record? So you have to know the transaction that was not recorded. What transaction was not recorded here? It was a cash sale of 500 Ghana cedis. Cash sale of 500 Ghana cedis. So what do we have to do to record it? We have to debit some account and credit another account. So who is going to give me the double entry for a cash sale? Yes, Prof. Portia.
Sir, please, we credit sales by 500 cedis and we debit cash.
Exactly. So this is how you prepare the journal, right? So it has 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. The first one is for the date or number. Okay, some of the errors come with date, so you use the date. But if it is numbered, you can use the number, so the serial number or whatever. Okay, so error number 1. Then you have the column for your details or particulars. Then you have one column for the first one for the debit column and then the credit column, right? And that's where you put your amount. So you should always put the currencies here. So Ghana cedi, or let me copy the right currency. Okay, so Ghana cedi. Then at the credit side too, we put the currency, the Ghana cedi. Great. So this is your journal. So when you are correcting number 1, I told you that the account that should be debited comes first. So in this transaction, we have seen that we need to debit cash. So we'll debit cash 500, and then we'll credit what? Sales 500. Okay, so in your journal, the account that you are supposed to debit should come first. So that will be cash account. You can ignore the account and bring only cash. And the amount is 500. You put it at the debit column. Then the second account, that's the account to be credited, move it away, indent it away small from the first account. So you see that I've left some small space here. I've done some indentation here, right? And then the value goes under the credits 500. And most importantly, you add your narration. And I said the narration is a brief description of the transaction or the error. So here, since we know the type of error to be an error of omission, you can say error of omission now corrected. Please, the now corrected there, you have to add it in all your narration. Okay, so error of omission now corrected. If you didn't know the type of error, then you could have written a cash sale not recorded in the books now corrected. That one too is accepted. Okay, but some examiners would want to test your knowledge in the type of error. So when you write error of omission, they are much appreciated than when you write the whole thing there, right? Okay. But in exams, if you are confused, you don't know, you can write a cash sale of 500 was not recorded at all in the books, now corrected. But I would advise that if you know the type of error, write it, error of omission now corrected. Okay. So that will end the first, error. Then we go to error number 2. So in your exercise book, you draw a line under the narration, right, to close that particular one. Then we'll go to error number 2. So who is reading error number 2 on my list? Prof. Bridget, read error number 2 for us. Microphone challenges for Prof. Bridget, can you hear me? Okay, let me go to
Yes, sir.
So
Example.
yeah.
Cash. Example. Cash received from Kofi 200 cedis was currently posted as debited bank 200, credited cash 200, but credited to Ames account instead of Kofi's.
Okay. Thank you very much. But I think you are struggling to see the thing clearly. Let me see if I can increase the font size a bit. Okay, so it says cash received from Kofi was correctly posted as debit bank 200, credit cash 200, but credited to Ames account instead of Kofi. Credited to Ames account instead of Kofi. So what type of error is this? Yes. Okay, Portia, go ahead.
Sir, please, error of commission.
Error of commission. Why do you say so?
Because error of commission deals with personal accounts. And in this question, instead of crediting it to Kofi's account, it was rather credited to Ames account.
Okay, so when you make the entry in the wrong person, right? So we saw that for error of commission, the entry is made in the wrong person's account. But one thing you should notice that the entry was correct. So the accountant did a correct debit or a correct credit, but it is in the wrong person account. Okay. So what do you think we have to do to correct this error? Oh, sorry. So I was talking in the air. Sorry. My microphone was off. So Austin, yes, let me hear you. How do we correct? What would be the correction for this?
So please, to correct this error, we first pass a debit entry of 200 from Ames account to take away that 200 from her account, and then pass a credit entry to Kofi. So we'll debit Ama 200 and then credit Kofi 200.
Okay, thank you very much. For those who might be confused, okay, if you follow the error, we are saying that the entry was made in the wrong person. So who is the wrong person here? Amma. So it means that the accountant has made a mistake of, crediting this Amma 200. And he's not supposed to credit this Amma. He rather has to credit Kofi. So if you followed Akole, he says that we have to debit Amma. So if you debit Amma 200, you see that it removes this bad entry. And then you now credit to Kofi. So after passing that entry of debit Amma 200, credit Kofi 200, the error would have been corrected in that now the entry is not in the wrong person, Amma's account. It is rather in the correct person, Kofi's account. Okay, so anytime you see an error of commission, that is, an entry has been made in the wrong person's account. This is how you go about it. You remove it from the wrong person and you put it in the right person. But the debit and credit depend on the type of transaction, right? Okay. So we have to debit Amma 200 and then we credit Kofi 200. Please, if you are confused, I ask you. So we debit Amma 200. Credits. So in your journal, this is how you go. The account to be debited cancelled. So Amma will come 200. Then Kofi's account will follow with a credit of 200. Then the narration, since we know the type of error, you say error of commission now corrected. As simple as that. If you don't know this and you still have to write your narration, you can write cash received from Kofi credited to Amma now corrected. Okay. You don't necessarily need to write all the errors. You can summarize it. Okay. Any question on this one before we go to number 3? Okay. Let's go to number 3. In fact, in exams, that's how it will appear. They'll give you the errors, ask you to correct using the journal. So please follow through and ask questions where necessary. Error number 3, who is reading it for me? Professor Emmanuel Kujo. Yes, Augustine, is that a question?
No, sir, please, I want to read. It's okay.
You wanted to read?
I wanted to read.
Okay, so let Prof. Ima read, and then you read the 4.
Okay, sir. Okay. Say, please, number 3.
Okay.
Purchase of motor van 15,000 Ghana cedis was debited to motor expense account instead of motor van account.
Okay, so what type of error is this? Purchase of motor van was debited to motor expense account. What type of error is that? And my other professors who are not talking. When you don't talk like that, it suggests to me that they don't tell you. That's why I worry myself like that. So talk. Rashid, I'm going to pardon you today because I'm not too sure whether you were fully engaged in those lessons when we were discussing the types of errors. But maybe I may have to come to you because the videos were available. Prof. Rashid.
Yes, sir.
So were you in class when we were discussing, or have you watched the videos? Which is which?
I wasn't in class the other time.
And you haven't watched the videos too, I guess. Then you'll be seeing stars power. But I think based on how I'm going about it, you can follow, right? So at least you now know what error of omission is and error of commission is. So we are going to the next one. Okay, Prof. Josephine, what type of error is this one?
Is error of principle.
Error of principle. I'm sure that's the same thing Portia and Austin would have told me. Thank you very much, professors. Error of principle. Why? We said that this error of principle, it occurs when an entry is made in the wrong class of account. When an entry is made in the wrong class or the wrong type of account. So look at the error. They purchase motor vehicle. If you purchase motor vehicle, are you supposed to record it in motor expense? No. Motor expense is an expense account. And you can't put motor van, which is an asset, into an expense account. So you have recorded it in the wrong class or wrong type of account. You are recording an asset in an expense account. So that makes it an error of what? Principle. Okay, I think last time I gave you several examples, like if you purchase the same motor van, then you go and record it in purchases account. No. You record in purchases account when it is goods or the stock that you are dealing. So if you buy an asset and you put it in purchases account, that's an error of principle. Okay. And then the other one was also about sales. When you sell an asset, you don't record it in your sales. You record it in disposal account. Okay. So how would we correct this error? Similar to the error of commission, you have to remove it from the wrong class and you put it in the right class. So let me demonstrate that here. So if we do the analysis, we'll appreciate that this accountant opened motor expense. Okay, motor expense account. And debited the 15,000, right? So he debited the 15,000 to this motor expense. But we are also aware that he shouldn't have done that. He should have rather debited it to motor van account. So to correct it, it means we first have to remove it from this expense account because it's not supposed to be here. So if you agree with me, we would have to credit motor expense account. Then we now go and debit motor van account to correct the error. So when we credit 15,000 here, it will remove it from the motor expense account. Okay, then we now open the proper type of account, which is the motor van. Then we can debit the 15,000. So it means that in correcting this error, we have to debit motor van 15,000 and credit motor expense 15,000. Okay, I hope it's okay. So we need to debit motor van 15,000, then credit motor expense 15,000. So let's go to the journal. So in the journal, you write your number 3, error number 3. The account to be debited is motor van. So that one comes first. 15,000. Then the second one is, yeah, Rashid, go ahead with your question.
So I thought you are debiting the giver and crediting the receiver. And the motor van is supposed to receive the 15,000. And motor expense is supposed to, that's
okay, so
okay,
borrowing your own idea. So motor van was receiving, so we have to debit motor van, and that's what we have done, right? And based on this context, motor expense is supposed to give it to motor van. He's not supposed to hold it. He's supposed to give it to motor van because it is not for him, right? So credit the giver, and indeed we are crediting motor expense, even though it's not advisable to use debit the giver, credit the giver when you are dealing with impersonal account, right? But even if we apply, it still makes sense. These are impersonal account, right? So for impersonal account, it could be real or nominal. For real account, you debit all incomings and you credit all outgoing. So here, motor van was coming into the business, so we need to debit it. Okay, but we didn't debit it. We went to debit expense. Okay, so that's why to correct it, we are now debiting it to correct it, and then we have to also remove it from the expense. So Rashid, based on your own analysis, yes, the thing was in the thing was with motor expense. It is not for motor expense. It is for motor van. So motor expense has to give it back to motor van. So if expense is given, we credited expense, right? So motor van expense credited. And since motor van will be receiving from expense, we debited motor van. Okay, so the analysis depends on how you do it. You should always get the correct. Right? So what will be the narration? Error of principle now corrected. So far, so good. Unless you are here and you don't understand anything, again, you are not asking. That's two troubles. Okay, let's go to number 4. Augustine, I call it. Read number 4 for us.
Sales invoice of 150 Ghana cedis was recorded in both sales journals and customers' accounts as 540.
Okay. So the invoice was 450, but we recorded it in the both account as 540. Yes, Morona, are you responding to what type of error this is, or you have a question?
There's an answer.
Okay, go ahead.
The error of original entry.
Error of original entry, perfecto de lavando. So we said for error of original entries, you see, the figure or the amount that was used in doing the debit and credit was wrong. Okay, normally due to transposition of figures, where the figures has been transposed. So here you see the thing is 450, but the accountant transposed the position of 4 and 5, and it has become what? 540. Okay. And here again, you could see that it says was recorded in both the sales and customers account. So it means they use the wrong figure to do both the debit and credit. So always watch out for original entry errors. Okay. The wrong figure should be used to do both the debit and credit. If not, then it cannot be an error of original entry. Okay. How do we correct this error? Okay. Now let me, for the benefit of some purposes, let me do this for us. Okay, so look at it to follow the error. What they are saying is that there was some sales. Okay, the amount is 450. And we all know that when you sell goods to a customer, you open the sales account as well as the customer, right? As well as the customer or the data. Let me use the customer since that was what was used. Now, my dear professors, when you sell goods to customer, what do? We all know that you debit the customer and then you credit sales. The accountant did that. He debited the customer credit sales, but he used 540 instead of 450. So this is what he has done. So you see that the entry is correct, right? The debit and credits was done correctly, but with the wrong amount. So professors, how do we get the correct in that? Rashid, let me go and worry about Rashid small. since he's now, appreciating some of the query. So Rashid, let me do the other one for you to guide you as well. So it means that this is the right thing that should happen. Let me do the right thing. I'm using green pen for you too. Right, so sales. He should have put 450 here because the amount was 450. And then in the customer's account, in the customer, he should have put 450 here. So this is the right thing that should have been done. But the accountant ended up, so you see that he did the credits and the debits correctly, but it's the amount. So how do you change or how do you correct this wrong amount, 540, 540, to reflect the 450? That's a question I'm asking, Rashid.
So you debit customer's account, that's 100 Ghana cedis, and you credit the sales invoice of Ghana for you credit the sales invoice of 100 Ghana cedis.
Okay, so let's follow through with what he's saying if it will correct the figure. If we credit 100 here and then we debit 100 here, would it correct this situation so that we have 450, 450? Let's do it. In this account, you will know that how much it has now gone to 640, right? Total debit of 640. And here to be total credit of 640. You have still, in fact, you have committed another error in correcting the error. So Rashid, you see that homework, I want Rashid to get this. That's why I'm not calling anybody. And you see, always remember that the entry you are passing is going to affect the error, okay, to reconcile it to the original figure. So as Rashid suggested, if we debit customer 100, it already has 540. So that will push it to saying 640 and 640 here. But we also need 450, not 640. So Rashid, are you getting some clues? I'm sure he has something in his head, but he's not sure whether to say it or not. But immediately it comes and say, oh, but I knew this. So Rashid, tell me what you know. Okay, let me.
So I don't get the question.
Sorry?
I don't get the question.
Okay, so the question is, are you
sales invoice of sales invoice of 450 was recorded in both sales and customer's account as 540.
Yes.
So we were supposed to get that's 450 for both accounts, right?
Yes.
And it was recorded as that's 540.
Yes.
Instead of 450.
Yes.
So that means you subtract that's 100 from each account.
If we subtract 100 from each account, how much are we going to get? 450 minus, 540 minus 100, that'll be how much? I think we'll get 340. 440. 90. Thank you. So the 90, you are suggesting that we should subtract it, right? But here, we cannot do subtraction. We have to either do credit or debit. So do we have to credit or debit this 90? So do it account by account. If you check the sales account, do we have to debit it or credit it with the 90? I think he has gotten the difference. So let me give him some rest. He has done well. He has gotten the 90 cedis for us. So who is going to continue for us? Yes, let me call Portia. She has been raising her hands. Portia, let's hear it.
So please, you will debit sales accounts by 90 and you credit receivables account by 90.
Okay.
Because there's been an over. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So Rashid, you see the 90 you mentioned was very accurate, right? But this 90, how did we get the 90? The 90 is the difference between the 450 and the 540. So we are saying for errors of original entry, always get the difference between the correct amount and the wrong amount. When you get that difference, then you can pass the entries. But in Rashid's case, he says that we should subtract. So Rashid, this sales, if we want to subtract from sales, we have to debit. Because if you debit 90 here, it will subtract from the 540. And then in the customer's account, we have to credit. Because when you credit the 90, it will subtract from the debit of what? 540. Okay. So in correcting the error, you cannot write in the journal, subtract or add. You do a debit or credit. Okay. So in this case, we have to debit sales 90 and credit the customer what? 90. And when we do that, it will reduce the balances to 450, 450. Okay. So Rashid, I hope you are comfortable, right?
Yeah.
But I think you need to go and watch the video.
Yes, sir.
The first video. You need to watch it so that you appreciate these errors. So here we debit sales, but I'm glad you were able to follow at least. So you debit sales 90, and then you credit the customer 90. So professors, anytime you see error of original entry, get the difference. It's very important. Get the difference. So we are going to debit sales. So the account to be debited comes first sales, and the second account to indebt it away customer. So you see that all these are errors that do not affect the trial balance. So you are not seeing any suspense in here. So that will be error of original entry now corrected. Let's go to error number 5. Error number 5. Who is reading error number 5 for me? And that should be Professor Zoe. Professor Zoe. Please read error number 6. Sorry, number 5 for us.
Sir, please, good morning.
Good morning.
Wages account was undercast by 100 Ghana cedis, and sales account was also undercast by 100 Ghana cedis.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, what type of error is this? Do I need to ask?
No.
Austin.
Sir, this error of compensation.
Error of compensation. If you are not careful, somebody will say it's a casting error because he's seeing undercast and undercast. So you say casting error. But look at it. In that same error, they are saying that wages was undercast 100 and sales was also undercast by 100. Okay. For casting errors, you see just one particular item, maybe wages undercast or sales undercast. Where you see two accounts being understated or undercast, you have to check. And here, let's do the analysis. Wages, okay. wages, as we all know, has what balance? A debit balance. So it means that they understated a debit balance 100. And then sales, as we all know, sales has a credit balance. That one too has been understated by 100. Okay, so it means that if you prepare your trial balance, this 100 are the debits and 100 are the credits. They'll cancel each other. Let me draw a trial balance and make you understand. If you draw a trial balance, this is your debit column and this is your credit column, right? So let's put wages and sales. So let's say that the wages figure we're supposed to use to prepare the trial balance was 1,100. Okay. And the sales figure was also 1,100. That was the figure. When we were posting to the trial balance, we recorded in the for the wages 1,000. What have we done? We have understated the figure by 100, or we have undercast. The same way, when we're recording the sales 1,100, we also understated the sales. So you see that the errors that we have committed, 2 errors, they are canceling each other. Why? Because the trial balance is still agreeing 1,000, 1,000. Okay, let me allow you some time to process this before I confuse you. Or I think it's okay. So here, the 2 errors are canceling each other. Yes, Prof. Josephine.
Sir, please, do you mean 100 cedis?
Yes, the undercast was 100 cedis, right? And in the example I gave, we understated both figures by 100 cedis, right?
Please, I'm a bit confused.
Okay, let me allow you some time to relax. So Josephine, okay, let me use different figures. Maybe that will make you understand. So let's say that let me add a third. Okay, you let me use this. I'm sure I can be able to help. So look at the error. The error says that wages account was undercast by 100, and sales account was also undercast by 100. So you forget about this error and then look at the scenario I'm giving. The scenario I'm giving is that we have wages, right? They gave you some items, wages 1,100, sales 1,100, and they ask you to prepare the trial balance, just these 2 items. You would have prepared a trial balance with these figures, right? Wages 1,100, right? At the debit, because wages has a debit balance. And then sales, the sales would have also come to the credits 1,100. Well, Josephine, are you okay up to this point? So if you did your total, you have total debit 1,100, total credits 1,100 with no confusion. Okay. Then we are saying that when you were preparing the trial balance, okay, the example I'm giving is about preparing trial balance. When you were preparing the trial balance, look at it. The wages figure is 1,100, but what have you recorded? 1,000. What does it mean? It means that you have sorry about that. So it means that you have undercast wages by 100, true or false? It's true. You have reduced the wages figure by 100. Okay, so what I've done here is a representation of what has been given in example 5, that wages account was undercast by 100. Okay, so look at it. The wages was 1,100. When I was putting it in the trial balance, I undercast it by 100. That's why I had 1,000 here. I've reduced the figure, right? Then I did same for the sales. The sales figure is also 1,100, but when I was recording, I undercast it by what? 100. Okay. Now, even though I have committed this error of understating the wages and the sales, they are not showing any difference in the trial balance, because the debit will be 1,000, the credit will be 1,000. Okay. So the errors I committed, 100 undercast in wages, 100 undercast in sales, they are canceling each other out, and they are not leading to any difference. And we said that if an error cancels another error, then that is a compensating error. Okay, Prof. Josephine, I'm sure you are semi-confused now, but bring the semi so that I can clear it out.
Yes, please.
So where is your confusion coming from?
Sir, please, I thought you were explaining the example 5 with like the exact figures.
Oh, okay. So you are.
I thought you made a mistake with the figures.
So you were expecting to see 100 and not the 1,000 I'm using and the 1,000. Okay. So listen, that figure you are seeing there is the undercast figure, the reduced figure, right? So if you do the analysis, look at it. Wages was 1,100, but I recorded 1,000. What does it mean? It means I have understated the figure by 100. Or let me give another figure. Let's say the value was 1,800. Okay. But when I was recording, I recorded 1,700. What have I done? I have understated it, or I have undercast it by 100. Okay. So the by is the difference. The by is not the actual figure. The actual figures may be different, but the by is the difference between the wrong and the correct figures. Okay.
Sir, so meaning that you give your own amount and then show that there has been an undercast.
Exactly. There has been an undercast by that figure given in the error. Okay.
Okay. I understand now. Thank you,
okay.
Sir.
Great. So if there is an undercast, what it means is that there is a correct figure and a wrong figure. But when you compare the wrong figure, there has been a reduction of that tune, 100 cedis. Okay. So this is a compensating error. How do we correct this error? So let me do this again for us. Okay, I think Austin wants to try. Austin, go ahead.
So please, since wages has debit balance, we'll debit it again with 100, so it will increase and cover the undercast, and then we'll credit sales with 100 too.
Okay, that is very true. So you see, even though it's not a casting error, you have to apply the casting errors in correcting, right? Because look at what is happening. They are saying that wages has been reduced by 100. So you ask yourself, wages has what balance? Wages has a debit balance. So if it has been reduced and you want to correct it, you debit. That's why with the undercast, you go with the balance on the item. right? And again, sales was undercast. So if sales was undercast and you are correcting it, you credit, right? So here the correction will be, we debit wages 100. So wages, and then we credit sales 100. Okay, so this will be compensating error. Now corrected. That's all. Okay, let's look at example 6, and I think example 6 will be the last error on the what do you call it? Errors that do not affect. Okay, so who is reading example 6 for me? I think that should be Moroni. Prof. Moroni, can you read example 6 for us?
Okay. Payment of rent, 300 Ghana cedis, was entered as debit bank 300. Credit rent 300 instead of debit rent 300 and credit bank 300.
Okay. So let's follow the transaction. It says payment of rent. You are paying rent. If you pay rent, what do? Right? It says it was entered as debit bank and credit rent instead of debit rent and credit bank. So here bank is in the picture, meaning that they pay the rent with check, right? So if you pay rent with check, what do? We all know that you debit rent and you credit bank. Okay. But this was entered as debit bank and credit rent instead of. In fact, this error, I think, is even, what type of error is that? I need to ask the whole class. Please, all of you unmute and tell me, those who know, unmute and tell me, what error is that?
Error
Error
of
of complete reversal.
Okay.
Yes, error of complete reversal. So you see, they were supposed to debit the rent. But what did they do? They entered it as debit bank and credit. So they have reversed it. So how do we correct it? So let me do you see, it's always important that you do the correct thing and the wrong thing, and then you can do your reconciliations, right? But let me go straight to the error by using the red. So this is what they have done. They had bank account and rent account. They were supposed to debit rent, but what did they do? They rather credited rent 300, and instead of crediting bank, they debited bank 300. So you see that they have reversed it. So how do we correct this thing? And let me use the green pen to show the right thing. The right thing was that they should have had rent. The 300 should have rather been debited like this, 300. And in the bank account, it should have been a credit of 300. So this is the correct. So our problem now is to how to correct this wrong thing here so that we can have the right thing here. So professors, what do we do? I think I saw a hand up from Austin. Sometimes I prefer those who are not too clear to answer, because when they answer, then we build the explanations and then it becomes clear. Rashid, are you going to attempt this one? Or I should spare you? Let me spare you. Moroni, would you attempt this?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So say you double the bank account. That's the
Okay.
debit side of it.
Okay.
Then after I'm done, to cancel out.
Okay, so we should
No,
double the figure, right? So
I'll
if we double the figure, that becomes how much? 600, right?
yes.
So the 600 in the bank account, what will you do?
It's supposed to be 300.
Uh-huh.
So I rather debit credit the 300.
Okay.
And so that the 300 will cancel out.
Okay,
So
so I
right now
should
bank is
debit.
having that.
So hold on. I should credit 300 here so that it
Debit
cancels.
300. Yes. Then I'll put the 300 under the bank account, under the credit side of bank account.
Again, so 300 like this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then what about the rent?
And for the rent, I also do the same thing.
The same thing on which side? Debit side or credit side?
Debit side.
Okay. So on the debit side, he will put 300 here so that it will cancel it. And then he'll put another 300 here. So you see that when you do that, this will cancel this will cancel the error. And you have 300 at debit now equal to what should have been done, the correct thing. And in the rent too, you have 300 at the credit. But you see, you don't have to go through the stress of doing this individual 300 now. What have you done to technical? You have debited rent 600 and credited bank 600. So we are saying in error of complete reversal, always double the figure. Double the figure. Because when you double the figure and you pass the entry, it will reduce the wrong figure there and then keep the original amount there, right? So in exams, this analysis is very, very okay. But when you are going to prepare your journal, don't do it individually, add them together. So what you have done technically is you debited bank 600 and you credited rent 600. Okay. So Morona, I hope you note that.
Okay.
So anytime you see error of complete reversal, that's what you do. You double the amount and then you pass the necessary entry. Here, the necessary entry was we had to debit rent 600 and then we'll credit bank 600. So that will be error of complete reversal entries now corrected. Like that. You are done. Okay, so today, in fact, we have some more errors to. We have, I think, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 6 more. But I think I should tone down. Had it not been for we missing at a Monday class, or was it Tuesday? Monday class, yes. We would have covered all the errors today, but no worries. I don't know. Would you be available over the weekend or something so that we cover up for the Monday loss? Anyway, let me know that on the page, so you can discuss and let me, so that we can go through the remaining 6 errors, right? But if we are all comfortable with the 6 we have discussed now, then I'll pause here and probably give you similar errors, right? Similar errors to correct and submit on your private pages for us to discuss or for me to mark. Okay, Augustine, let me hear you.
Sir, please, I don't really understand question 6.
Question 6, eh?
Yes, sir.
Is it the fact that it's an error of complete reversal or the correction with it? Which is which?
Sir, please, the correction.
So you agree that it's an error of complete reversal? Anyway, what is an error of complete reversal of entries? It means that I'm listening to you. Don't open your notebook. You should have this at the back of your brain. Because we've discussed it earlier.
Please, I don't really.
You don't remember?
I think I. Yes, sir.
So you see, that's why you are not getting it. Anyway, we said that error of complete reversal. Listen to the name. Complete reversal of entries. So that error, it happens where the accountant has debited an account which he was supposed to credit. And correspondingly, right, he has also credited an account he was supposed to debit. So let me give an example here and pay attention. Let me put a transaction here. So credit sale of $200 to Amma. I hope we can all record this transaction. Credit sales of 200 to Amma. Credit sales to Amma. So let me ask Augustine. Augustine, if you see this transaction, who would you debit and who would you credit? Credit sales of 200 to Amma. Who would you debit and who would you credit?
Sir, please, I'll credit sales.
And debit who?
Debit Amma. I'll credit and debit Amma.
Thank you. So if you are told in the question that the accountant, right? The accountant debited sales and rather credited Amma. What can you say about that?
It's a mistake.
What mistake is that?
It's a complete reversal.
He has reversed the double entry because the double entry was that you have to debit Amma. But you see, he didn't debit Amma, he rather credited Amma. And correspondingly, right, debited sales instead of crediting sales. That's why we say for error of complete reversal, instead of a debit, the accountant credited. And instead of a corresponding credit, the accountant debited. Okay. So let me continue this error. So if I have Amma and sales account, this is what the accountant has done. He has debited sales 200 and credited Amma 200, which is wrong, right? Because we all know that for this one, okay, for this particular transaction, the correct thing you have to do is to debit Amma, okay, and credit sales. So how do we correct it? And if you are correcting it, your eyes is on the wrong thing because you are passing the entry to correct the wrong thing. So your eyes should always be here. So what would we do to get Amma's account to have a debit of 200? We just have to double the figure. So if we double the figure 200, it becomes 400. So here we debit Amma 400. Okay, and then we credit sales, same amount, 400. And when you do that, this is against is it Moroni's recommendation that you do 200, 200, right? So if you go with the Moroni's analysis, it is perfect. It makes you see the thing clearly, right? But technically, you have to double the figure. So with Moroni's assumption, your first 200 will cancel the wrong 200 there. And then your second 200 will now put the correct 200 there. But I'm saying, don't go through this stress. Double the figure and pass the entry. So that was the point we were making, Prof. Augustine Apoli. Are you okay now?
Yes, sir. Sir, please, thank you.
So, profs, I think I've been able to take you through today and the correction, how to prepare the journal. Okay. 6 errors. Omission, commission, principal, original entry, compensation, and complete reversal. I think there was the last one, which is duplication. But I'm sure the duplication bit is very simple. But I think I'll hold on here. If I add on the other 7 or 6, which are errors that affect the trial balance. And those are the errors that will bring in the suspense account. So we have to be very careful with them. So I wish that we do that in our next class so that I don't confuse you. So as I hinted, I'm going to give you similar errors based on what we have done right now. Omission, commission. And then you are going to correct it in a journal like we did here. Okay, you debit, you credit, you add your narration. And then you submit it to the page. Today is Friday. I'll give you up to Monday. If you don't submit up to Monday, wahala for you. Okay, Morona, let me hear you.
Sir, please, on your table, I'm not seeing any suspense account.
Yes, so we are not seeing any suspense account because all the errors we have corrected are the type of errors that do not affect the trial balance. And you remember when we did the discussion, errors that do not affect the trial balance, omission, commission, principal. So you see that all the errors we have committed here, or the errors we have corrected here, they are not affecting the trial balance. That's why suspense is not coming. It's only the errors that affect the trial balance that when you are correcting, suspense will come. Because you see, the errors that affect the trial balance, they will cause the difference, and that difference is put in suspense. But those that do not cause any difference, that means there's no suspense. So you get a point.
Yes, sir.
So if you see somebody correcting an error of omission and you see suspense in his debit and credit, it means that the person is wrong. Because error of omission, there will be no suspense in there. But when you go to something like single entry, we realize that single entry would affect the trial balance. So there will be a difference. And for that matter, that difference was kept in suspense. So if you are correcting a single entry error, suspense account would have to be, you would have to make an entry in suspense account. So you'll be seeing suspense there. Okay. Okay, any further questions or comments? So Prof. Rashid, I hope you are comfortable at least to some extent.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to give you, I'll see if I can give you like some 15 errors. Okay, 15 errors for you to correct for me.
Sir, right now.
You have between now and Monday. So it's an assignment I'm going to give you.
So only me or the whole?
Not only you are, the whole class. Okay. But go and watch the first videos on the correction of errors so that you can understand the errors very well. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Augustine, what is your problem?
Hey, sir, please, should you use like the table like I have done it?
I would say correct it in the journal. So you have to use the journal. And if you are using the journal, that's how you go about it, right?
So like, okay.
Okay. Any
I
further?
thought like you have to draw the account, that's why.
No. You only draw the account to do your analysis. But if they ask you to prepare the journal, this is the journal. The journal has no T account in there. You just show the account to them, the account credit.
Okay, sir, please, thank you.
Okay, thank you too. Okay, Prof. Josephine, go ahead.
Yeah, please. So is this how we are going to end the journal?
Oh, so yeah, if you correct all the errors, the last thing, some people go to the extent of adding all the debits and adding all the credits, but it is not so much of a requirement, right? So in a typical exams, when you have corrected all your errors, you can put in the total, right? The other thing will be maybe prepare the suspense account, okay? But you see, all the errors we have corrected so far has no suspense account, so there will be no need for you to prepare your suspense account. So maybe when we go through the remaining 6 errors, which affects trial balance, and for that matter, suspense comes in, then we can now look at how you prepare the suspense account. It's very simple. It's just posting the debits and the credits. That's all. So my main aim now is that my professors can correct any error of omission, any error of commission, principal, complete reversal. That's my aim for now. Using the journal like this, preparing the journal like this. Okay. Any further arguments or questions? Okay, so expect the question or the assignment. That will be your assignment too. I think I owe you some marking, so I'll do that. As for the online test, it's already there, so I have the scores. Okay, thank you very much, professors. I'll see you, God willing, Monday. But the assignment will be on the page. I will need a good Samaritan to remind me if I forget. Okay. Okay, so do have a great day. I'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.